You didn't land on this video randomly. You didn't scroll past it by coincidence. Something in you was already circling her. The way she looked at you, the pause before she answered, that subtle shift in energy you can't quite explain. And now you're here. Carl Jung had a word for moments like this: synchronicity. Not chance, not accident, but a meaningful convergence between your inner tension and the outer world. Right now, your mind is looping, replaying conversations, analyzing tone, reconstructing eye contact frame by frame like a forensic investigator of desire. You're not weak, you're not delusional. You're responding to one of the oldest biological forces, wired into the human organism: attraction. And attraction doesn't speak in paragraphs, it whispers in fragments. That's why you're here on Mindsnap. Not for comfort, not for fantasy, but to decode what lives beneath the surface. Because here is the uncomfortable truth. Before we are rational beings, we are instinctive ones, civilized on the outside, primal underneath, and the primal self always leaks through. Before we break down the signs, we need to recalibrate your perspective. Schopenhauer understood something brutal yet liberating. You can act according to your will, but you cannot choose what you will. You cannot force yourself to stop thinking about her, and if she is thinking about you, she cannot simply switch it off either. Desire is not democratic. It does not ask permission. It erupts. Modern depth psychology agrees. Attraction reveals itself in the unconscious, in micro-expressions, in posture, in proximity, in behavioral repetition. The body confesses what the mouth edits. So what you're about to learn is not a manipulation strategy. It is perception training, the ability to read subtext. And before we go further, you must understand Jung's concept of the shadow. The shadow is everything we suppress to remain socially acceptable. Lust, jealousy, possessiveness, hunger, fear of abandonment. In relationships, the shadow creates contradiction. She may verbally distance herself while unconsciously gravitating closer. She may act composed while internally restless. She may create space precisely because the intensity feels dangerous. This isn't hypocrisy. It's internal conflict between desire and self-protection. Now pay attention. When does she reach out? Not the predictable reply, not the polite response, but the unscheduled 11:47 p.m. message, the random Friday night notification, the unnecessary "What are you doing?" Late hours are psychologically revealing. When the conscious mask relaxes, impulse surfaces. If you appear in her mind when her defenses are lowered, you matter. But one signal means nothing. Patterns mean everything. Repetition is truth. If late-night outreach becomes rhythm instead of anomaly, you're not imagining it. Next, memory. You once mentioned a specific song, a type of coffee, a childhood story. Weeks later, she references it casually. That isn't accidental recall, that's emotional encoding. We store details about people who activate us. When she retrieves your small preferences from memory, she's revealing cognitive investment. Attention is the purest currency of desire. Now observe mirroring. You lean forward. Does she? You adjust your tone. Does hers shift too? This is called postural echo. Neuroscience shows that rapport synchronizes nervous systems. Breathing patterns align. Speech cadence harmonizes. The body seeks coherence with what it wants. She may not realize she's doing it, but the unconscious always moves first. Then proximity. Does she create reasons to be physically near you? Volunteer for shared tasks? Take similar routes? Extend conversations unnecessarily? Edward Hall's research on proxemics showed that we guard space carefully. If she reduces distance voluntarily, she is signaling comfort or attraction. Again, context matters. One coincidence is noise. Repeated proximity is data. Now the underestimated sign, depth questions. When she asks about your fears, your childhood wounds, your ambitions, your regrets, she's not making small talk. She's entering psychological territory. In Jungian terms, intimacy begins when two shadows meet. If she invites you into that territory, she considers you safe enough or compelling enough to explore. That's not casual. And here's the most destabilizing sign. She changes around you. More animated, more guarded, more playful, more serious. Her baseline personality shifts. Jung would say you've activated a complex within her. We are not singular selves. We are layered systems. Different people awaken different versions of us. If she reorganizes psychologically in your presence, you matter. Now integrate this. Individually, each sign is ambiguous. Collectively, they form architecture. But here is where most men collapse into delusion. Interest does not guarantee action. She can think about you intensely and still choose safety. She can fantasize and still build walls. She can feel desire and still walk away. Humans are divided creatures. Shadow and persona are in constant negotiation. And you are not separate from this equation. Your fixation reveals your own shadow. What are you really afraid of? Rejection? Irrelevance? Being unseen? Often the person we obsess over becomes a projection screen. We don't just want them. We want what they represent. Validation, redemption, proof of worth. Joseph Campbell described the hero's journey as a call to transformation. Attraction is often that call, not toward the other person, but toward integration. Individuation, in Jung's language, the process of becoming whole. So here is the shift. This is not about decoding her perfectly. It's about understanding yourself honestly. Ask yourself, what terrifies me more, rejection or acceptance? What version of myself do I believe she completes? If she disappeared tomorrow, what void would remain? These questions are not romantic. They are evolutionary. And here is the truth that frees you. You will never fully access her internal world. William James described consciousness as private and fundamentally unknowable to others. You will interpret signals, you will guess, you will sometimes be wrong, and that's not failure, that's being human. The mature move is not obsessive decoding, it is courageous clarity. If you want to know, ask. If you feel something, express it. If she rejects you, survive it. Rejection is not a verdict on your value, it is misalignment of desire, and misalignment is natural. Sometimes two people orbit each other in fantasy without ever colliding in reality. That's not tragedy, that's life. Before we close, I want you to do something practical. Sit alone. Write these down. What am I truly afraid will happen if she says no? What am I afraid will happen if she says yes? What need inside me is she symbolizing? If I release the fantasy completely, who would I be? These are shadow questions. They will destabilize you. Good. Growth always destabilizes first. You came to Mindsnap thinking this video was about her. It isn't. It's about you becoming conscious. You can't control her thoughts. You can't command her desire. You can only refine your own. That is power. So subscribe, not for tricks, not for tactics, but for psychological literacy, for depth, for the ongoing work of integrating your shadow instead of running from it. The algorithm rewards comfort. We don't. We reward clarity, and clarity transforms. The path into the shadow is not comfortable, but it is the only path toward wholeness. And wholeness is the only thing that actually matters.